Welcome to the Yapping Podcast. I'm your host, Rafa, and let's start yapping. So today, June 17th, Iran and Israel have been going at it now for a few days. Trump was in the Situation Room. As of now, nothing's really come about too much, right? Iran's President Trump made a statement to Iran, he says, where they know he kind of feels like they know what's up, right? Is what he's kind of implying. I don't agree with this to be getting involved, but the U.S. meddles in everything, and we always have for the most part around the world. So I don't agree with it. CJ doesn't agree with it. A lot of Trump supporters don't agree with it. And we know liberals will never agree with anything Trump does, no matter if it's good or bad. So we can just kind of disregard anything they have to, any opinion they have on the matter. Because no matter if it was good, they'd hate it. And if it was bad, it doesn't even matter with them. So we kind of have a little bit of a different stance on it a little bit, though, I think, CJ. You think China gets involved? I don't think
I don't think China gets involved.
Okay, yeah, neither do I. I don't think China gets involved. And the reason I say that why I don't think China gets involved if the U.S. gets involved is because we saw about a month ago or maybe a little more what happened to the Chinese economy when basically the United States stopped buying shit or the tariffs were implemented on them. And what happened, there were reports that, they were going to shit for a little bit there for a week or two or whatever it was. So I don't think they could, as much as China likes to kind of, they're imposing their power and their will in certain areas. We've seen what they've done off the South China Sea. And we've seen they have influence it in Cuba, 90 miles off of the coast of Florida. We've seen what their, the influence they have in Venezuela. They have influence. But I don't think at the end of the day, their goal will ever be to have an actual war with the United States, because that country's economy, it relies on the United States more than anyone. So
my stance is, I guess my reasoning is a little different, whereas I don't think China or Russia, I mean, when have you seen a global conflict like this where they have nothing to say? Right? I think China and Russia don't get involved because they were so reliant on Iran's oil. And so for them, I think behind closed doors, it's actually beneficial for this to be happening, because if Iran has a nuclear weapon, I don't think Iran should have a nuclear weapon. I just think that's not a good thing for the West. I don't think it's a good thing for the Middle East. But what it does do is it does bring the West and China and Russia to the table, because you no longer can bully Iran with sanctions, with things like that, because they have a nuclear weapon. So I think China and Russia behind closed doors want Israel and the United States to get rid of that nuclear facility that spans 2,400 miles in their country. That's the reason, though. I just don't think that they want Iran to have nuclear weapons in general.
Is that a fact? 2,400 miles?
Reported fact.
Reported fact. I thought you were making that shit up. It seems 2,400 miles seems like a lot.
Yeah, it's huge. It spans across almost their entire nation. But it takes up a good portion of their country, their nuclear facilities.
Okay. All right. Well, that's your take on it. I have my take. And you don't agree. I don't agree with it at all, right? I don't agree with Trump even getting involved. And obviously you feel the same way, right?
100%. I think he loses the midterms in 2028 if he does.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people are saying. That because a lot of Trump supporters will just not show up.
Me. I won't. You got to remember, I didn't vote for Trump in 2020. I didn't think he was the good fit at the time. I think I was wrong, but I just will be a.
I know you were wrong, but anyways.
Oh, 100%. But at least I have the cojones to come to the front and say I don't think I made the right decision.
Right.
But I do think people like me are just going to sit home. If he reverts back to the policies of Bush and Cheney, I'm just not going to vote.
Makes sense. Makes all the sense in the world. And I agree with you on that 100%. But since we're on the issue, we kind of covered that Iran bullshit going on, and we all kind of want the same thing. Liberals they don't want it because it's what Trump's doing, so they don't want. And then Republicans, at least CJ and I, and a lot of people that I've seen, don't want it because it's basically fucking stupid. and you know, it'd be us throwing away money and losing lives and everything that Trump has stood for leading up to this point.
Right.
And this would be just totally the opposite of what he's kind of stood for the last, you know, since 2017 or 2016.
Right.
So, but since
Came down that escalator.
Yes, since we are on we are on the Trump train here, let's address the ICE drama going on in LA, the immigration issues, the posting, all these people posting all sorts
my
of
gosh.
shit. I mean, it has been nonstop. Like, dude, I literally stopped looking at people's stories, but people are texting them to me. They're like, "Oh, look what this person posted," and it's like, and then some of the shit, like, there's so many things that people just tend to overlook, and which bothers me, because you don't overlook anything that Trump does, but you're overlooking you've overlooked everything that Obama did. Like, that didn't matter, and everything that he said, and now you show it. And that's one of the reasons I hate AI, because you're showing all these videos, and now all of these idiots who don't remember it, and you can find it in a million different places, whether it's in YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Go back to postings from 2014 on Facebook. You're going to see it, where Obama was clearly against this sort of immigration. And he talks about DACA and how it was a year to year, and that wasn't leading to a path of citizenship, etc. So all of that. And Obama stood by all of that. And now, you know, it's like Saturday was Obama Appreciation Day. Who the fuck knew that? I didn't know that. But I guess it was. Imagine a Mexican person posting Obama Appreciation Day when that man deported over 3 million people. Over 3 million. And you've seen reports as high as 5 million. I've always known it's over 3 million. You know, but you know, we have some numbers we'll pull up here in a little bit, and we can go through it, right? So now, with Obama deporting all of these people, he did it through DHS, he did it through ICE. There are many ways, many people that did it, right? Many different departments of the government, right? That they deported these people. So it wasn't only ICE. But now ICE is on the streets of LA. They didn't give a shit when ICE was on the street 2 years ago. When they didn't give a shit when ICE was on the street 12 years ago. They didn't give a shit. You know why they didn't give a shit? Because the media didn't show it to you. They didn't show it to you. You turn on the news here in LA, whether it's KTLA or KCAL 9 or Univision or Telemundo or whatever, and every fucking night there's a story about this random family where the guy's been here for 20 plus years or 17 years or whatever, and he's now being picked up. Well, he's been here for 17 years, but he was a fucking coyote for 9. Okay, like, so there's plenty, but now it's an issue. Now you had this, you know, huge protests all over the place, the No Kings. Liberals have somehow convinced people that Trump is acting like a king. What rights or anything have you lost since Trump has been president? You've lost none. Literally none. I don't understand it. This reminds me of Black Lives Matter in 2020. This is exactly that, except now it's brown lives matter. It's basically what it is. And now these, you know, and I'm going to tell you something. I hate the fact that you see all these posts on Instagram on all these people, and a lot of these Latinos, oh, well, you know, we were there for the blacks, and the blacks aren't there for us. Everyone's always there for the blacks, and I'll tell you why. They feel some sort of, and by the way, CJ's black, and I know when CJ clips this, you guys are not going to believe that CJ's black and I'm a racist and blah, blah, blah. And by the way, my dad's 6% Nigerian. I'm throwing that shit out there. I'm claiming that shit, writing it all the way live. But anyways, so for me, people feel some sort of guilt to always like, oh, if I support a black person, if I support this, like they feel like this sort of, wow, I'm white liberals, especially white liberal women, they feed off of that shit. They feed off of that shit. But God forbid, they may not even have one black fucking friend, but they feed off of
And
it.
Rafa, can I open this up? Because I'm not just talking about Caucasian white women. I'm talking about Caucasian Latinos, East European whites, the whites, like white women, period, across the board, period.
Yeah, 100% right. And it's like they feel like this sort of like, oh, wow, yeah, I was there supporting the blacks. I was there. And it's like, and so you did it. You went and supported Black Lives Matter. You posted your dumbass black fucking square, okay, which was the stupidest thing fucking ever. Seriously. I couldn't fucking believe it, right? So you did that out of guilt to make, and to make yourself feel better, to prop yourself up. Because in reality, if we actually look at it, most of you people don't have any black friends. You really don't. So I'm dead ass. Dead ass. A lot of you don't. I know some people, yes, they have black friends. Parties, you see their black friends. But there's another handful of people and it's like, motherfucker, you have 0 black friends. And you post in a black square, okay? By the way, Black Lives Matter stole all your money. All the money you donated, it's gone. Have you ever seen Black Lives Matters again? Like, Black Lives Matter has never been seen again. Money gone. See you later. But hey, you know what? For those 3 years or that summer, or whatever the fuck the time frame was, you did your part, right? You did your part. No, you didn't. You're a fucking idiot. And they're proving it to you now. They're not going to come up and stick up for you. So don't expect black people to go out there and help you march and protest or whatever the fuck it is you're doing, because they don't have a guild like you have a guild.
0.
I'm sorry. They don't need to
0
prop themselves up and support another race. They don't need it. You need it for your self-conscious or whatever, because you're a fucking moron. You're the same people that posted Obama Appreciation Day on June 14th, 2025, while Obama deported over 3 million people. And you didn't.
No. You're cutting it short. He deported over
I'm saying 3 million.
million.
That's what I've seen reported. You're saying 5 million. You got it from Twitter. I'm going to give them the low number. CJ says 5. I'm going to go with 3, but it's a whole lot of motherfucking people that Obama deported. But yet Hispanics are here. It's Obama Appreciation Day. Let's make sure we post it. And Hispanic people, and then this is the other thing about especially Mexicans here in LA. Okay. Dodger Stadium is built where Chavez Ravine was. You know who lived in Chavez Ravine? Immigrants. And they kicked them out of there and promised them a new community right down the street in Elysian Park. You know what they got, CJ? They got absolute dick. Walk into Dodger Stadium tonight, and they're going to have 50,000 fucking people, and 47,219 will be of Hispanic descent, and 23,000 will be of Mexican descent. But yet you're going there where the Dodgers kicked you out. The same thing you're crying about now, and you're supporting that team. And they actually kicked them out, left them homeless, never gave them what they wanted. Not what they wanted, what they were promised. Fuck what they wanted, what they were promised, and they never got it. But Mexicans love their Dodgers, don't they? Hate ICE, hate Trump. We love the Dodgers. And the Dodgers gave your family, your ancestors, the boot. They gave them the boot. But yet you keep reminding everyone that this country was built on immigrants. Yes, it was built on immigrants, just not illegal ones. Okay? That's the thing. The illegal ones, they've been around for about the last 40 or 50 years. Last time I checked, the 5 freeway has been around a lot longer than that. So there's two things I hate. There's 2 things I hate. Immigrants built this country. Yes, they did. Not the illegal ones. And blacks built this country. I'm sorry. Those 2 things I hate. Because last time I checked, there's a bunch of buildings in downtown LA that were built way after slavery. So blacks weren't out there working at that time. Not on those buildings. Not a lot of them. Let's be real. And illegal immigrants, they don't build shit. They're your gardeners, because we got a man crying about his gardener. We got a man out there. There's plenty of them. Okay? We have companies that their employees are not coming into work. We have businesses that are closed because they're not coming into work. Another thing that I think is overrated is when people talk about illegal immigrants work more than these people, blah blah blah. Listen, nobody knows more hardworking illegal immigrants than me. Most of my customers, illegal. Okay, they work hard as fuck, but we can't degrade the American blue collar worker, whether it's a concrete cutter, whether it's an oil field worker, whether it's a steel worker. We can't degrade those people and not say they're hard workers. We're just throwing them away. What about all these guys that hang on the side of the freeway or on the side of a building? We're just not giving those people any credit. Like, you're not a hard worker. Motherfucker, I was hanging for 12 hours up there. Are you out of your mind? So those are kind of things that
also get into the argument of this is Mexico. California is Mexico.
Yeah. See, guys, this isn't Mexico. We're on stolen land. This isn't Mexico. It hasn't been Mexico. Mexico was this land was, first of all, it was fought for, and then it was purchased. Like, here you go. We kicked your ass, but let me give you $15 million. That's what it was. That's what it was. And in reality, Mexico was, before that, was conquered by Spain.
It was called New Spain.
Was Spanish land. That land belonged to Spain. So technically, we're all on stolen land.
Can I give some perspective,
Spain,
Rafa?
What's that?
I always want to give some perspective. Spain had California less than I've been alive.
Yeah.
That's how long they had it, for 20 years.
Yeah, and that's their claim. This is stolen land. This was Mexico. Do a little bit of research. Just do a little bit of research, please. Just a tad. I mean, everyone has access to Google. You got Chat GPT now, or fucking whatever the fuck it's called. I don't use it. I'm too old for that shit. But you got it all at your fingertips. Look it right on your phone. Just fucking look it up. Look it up. But you go out there, you look like an ass. Then these people who are out there protesting, I'm going to tell you something. The real immigrants, the real Mexicans they're not out there protesting. Those real Mexicans that came from Mexico the last 15, 20 years, 10, 5, they're at work. They're at work. Those are their kids. Those are their nephews. Okay, that's who those people are. Those people are out there protesting, blocking the streets, by the way. So you're blocking the streets, you're blocking the freeways. You're blocking the streets, you're blocking the freeways from the same people that you're defending, that you think you're defending. You're stopping those same people from getting to work on time, from making deliveries, from picking up their kids from school, from daycare, from whatever it is. You're stopping all of that. I cannot stand protests. You want to protest, stand on the fucking curb. Don't bother anybody. But on the curb, not on the street, not on the freeway. Leave the cops alone. That's what an actual peaceful protest is. You stand there, you hold up your fucking sign, you scratch your fucking balls for 2 hours, you go home. It's not fucking sit there and burn fucking flags and raise flags and fucking do burnouts and fucking throw flares and smoke and all that shit, because then you're going to get popped by a rubber fucking bullet. That's what's going to happen. The thing is, the problem with this generation is because there's no repercussions, because your mom didn't whoop your ass and your dad didn't whoop your ass. So now you think you can go out on the street and throw shit at police officers, throw shit at the highway patrol, disrespect property. And it doesn't matter what property, whether it's fucking federal property, private property, whatever the fuck it is. You're still disrespecting it. You're tagging it up. You're fucking it all up. At the end of the day, and this is the things that you guys don't realize, when you do that, let's say you go in and you destroy a business, like you ran into Foot Locker and Shoe Palace and all that. What does Shoe Palace and Foot Locker have to do? They have to file an insurance claim because we had 150 morons come in here and steal our shoes and break windows and all that. So now the insurance company has to pay Foot Locker to fix what you fucked up. Guess at the end of the day, who pays? Because if State Farm pays, their insurance is going to go up. So now business insurance goes up, not only for Foot Locker, but for Foot Locker and for the Gap and for all the other companies that have to have insurance, like myself as well. And our insurance just goes up but you don't think about that because you're a fucking idiot. That's that is the 100% the protester out on the street. That is what they are. They are stupid, ignorant people. Stay on the corner. Go and protest. And then most of these people don't even know what they're protesting about. A friend of mine's wife went and protested the other day. I don't know if he wanted to tell me or he accidentally told me. I don't know. But I would have never said it. First of all, if my wife did that, first of all, I wouldn't have let her go because it would have been the most embarrassing thing if someone would have seen her there, for myself and for herself. But it's just, why? Like, I just don't understand it. You voted for Obama. You voted for Biden, who, by the way, if we look at Biden's numbers per DHS, by the way, we're talking about over 1.4 million people removed from this country in 2021, 1.4 million in 2022. It was during COVID. We had to get rid of them. The Title 42, blah, 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 blah. Still, it's 1.4 million people. Were you crying then? How can I take people seriously when you're talking about no kings, right? And yet you fired people because they didn't take the vaccine. You did drive-through fucking parties. Okay? You fucking had people come over your house and sanitize and wash their whole fucking nine before they came to your house. These are the same people that are now talking about no kings. It doesn't even. You guys are so far off the spectrum on both sides. You don't even know where you're at, because you defend one thing, but you're enforcing another. You enforced COVID on everyone, which was total bullshit.
My high school career.
Yeah, which is total bullshit. And we've seen now, 4 years later, that it was total bullshit. Okay, so and now you're complaining about it. It's out of control. It really is. You force things on people, and by the way, all these states are getting sued. California is getting sued for all, and they're going to pay a shit ton of money. These are things that you guys don't know, but California is going to. But look it up. California is going to pay probably $70 or $80 billion in from 2020 to 2021 or 2022, when they had people who weren't. You remember, you didn't have to pay rent, right? You didn't have to pay rent and yada yada yada. Well, guess what? All those landlords now are suing California. They've now won. Now that case is going to the Supreme Court. I have a friend of mine who's very involved in that case. They're now going to the Supreme Court. So they're getting back their interest, they're getting back their rent, and they're paying lawyer fees. California is going to have to pay about $70 or $80 billion of money that they obviously don't have. And they're going to have to kiss the federal government's ass to get it. But going back to immigration, the other thing is, if the Democrats are so worried about immigration, when they had the House and the Senate and the executive office, why didn't you fix this for these people? Why didn't you allow these people to become citizens? Why didn't you give them a path? Because in reality, and this is just common sense, but a Democrat will never look at it that way because they don't have common sense for the most part. But common sense should tell you, if the president's a Democrat, if the Senate is 50-50 and you hold the tiebreaker, and Congress is Democrat, then you can basically do almost whatever the fuck you want. You could have easily given these people a path to citizenship, and we wouldn't have all these deportations right now. But you didn't, because you did the same shit that you do to black people. It's just empty promises. And as long as you keep promising them something every 4 years, they'll keep coming back to you like idiot. Look at Maxine Waters in her district. It's just disgusting. It's disgusting. Look at all these districts that you have these Congress women and men that have been around for years and years and years. And those districts are disgusting because they keep promising you. And at the end of the day, they're empty promises. Black people don't realize that. But every 4 years, it's an empty fucking promise. Stephen A. Smith is now actually saying and talking about it. Charlemagne, who mentions it, but he always Charlemagne is the one who mentioned it twice in the last two elections, yet he still runs back to the same fucking thing. You're still running back to the same thing. The other thing, so, they hold that ride down the escalator for Trump in 2016, where he made the comments about all immigrants, or, we know he didn't mean all immigrants. He said it, and liberals ran with it, right? all immigrants are criminals, this, and that, right? People still hold on to that. But yet they forget how Joe Biden's bill put how many black people, and Joe Biden was a very big advocate of that bill, where they put how many black people in prison. That you guys forgot about that. How Joe Biden spoke about blacks while his time as a senator. You guys you can easily forget about it, but you can't forget about Trump going down the escalator. You can easily forget about it. You forget about all of the bad shit that Biden has done, but you can't forget about Biden, Obama, Bill Clinton. Are you kidding?
I was like, don't get me started with Bill Clinton. He's the worst. Clinton?
I mean, so nobody put more blacks in prison than Bill Clinton. I mean, than Bill Clinton, Joe Biden, that era, right? Where Joe Biden was there in the Senate. That was their bill. That was their thing.
It's called the Bill Clinton crime bill.
And Obama. So think about it. We have the two biggest minorities in this country, black people, which in reality, they're Americans. I don't know why the fuck they're a minority because of their skin colors are stupid. That's another dumbass fucking thing. Okay. But they're Americans of darker complexion. So all of the Americans of darker complexion, the Latino and the blacks, the two biggest minorities in the country, right? And they're the ones that have been fucked over the most by the Democrats. Bill Clinton and the Senator Joe Biden the Great and Barack Obama, the deporter in chief. And yet you keep voting for them. It's because that's common sense. It's too easy to understand it. It's just how you don't even want to take the time to try and understand it. That's the thing. You know that, like I said earlier, go to Google just a little bit, and you'll see some of these things. It's ridiculous, but Trump is so magnified. Everything that he does is so magnified that there's never anything good that he does. He pardons a black woman, gives her a job in the White House as the pardon czar. Think about that. A black woman is in charge of who gets a pardon. For the most part, Trump's obviously, but she has an input, right? She has an input. A black woman who was imprisoned, and Trump pardoned her for one drug offense, and she got a ton of years, okay? So now Barack didn't do it. Joe Biden didn't do it. Donald Trump did it, okay? Donald Trump did it. Gave her a job. She's working in the White House. And a black woman, by the way. And this man is a racist and a sexist. He's the worst thing. Why? Because some lesbians on The View, some more lesbians on MSNBC, and a couple of dykes on fucking CNN tell you so. So that's what you believe. That's the fucking problem. That is the problem, and it will always be a problem for Donald Trump. They loved him, and now they hate him. And the only reason they hate him is there's a couple reasons why they hate him. Number one, they can't control him. They can't control him. He's going to say what he wants. He's going to basically do what he wants. Okay? And now he thinks opposite of you. You loved him in 2014, 2015. Oprah, Whoopi Goldberg, you would go goo-goo gaga for this man. Mm-hmm. And now he pardons NBA YoungBoy. He pardons multiple rappers. And he's a racist? Why? He didn't have to do it. Who's the other guy? Larry Hoover, right?
Yes.
Pardons Larry Hoover. And now, but if you go through all the comments and all the posts on Instagram, all the Democrats will jump in and they'll, well, he's still in jail. He's still in jail for a state offense. Yes. But federal offense, if the state pardons him, that man is a free man. That's a free man.
Let's not even talk about Angela King, RFK's top advisor, a black woman who Trump pardoned and is now the top advisor to RFK.
There's plenty of them. Black women, black men. Okay. But the news doesn't show you that. CNN, KTLA, Univision, KCAL 9, they don't show you that. They don't show you that here in LA. So you will never see it. And you're so narrow-minded. And then you think, well, politics doesn't matter to me. It actually does matter to you. Because if it didn't matter to you, you wouldn't be worried about who's cutting your lawn, who's washing your car, who's fucking taking. you wouldn't be, who's going to clean your house? You wouldn't be worried about that. So it actually does matter to you. All those things matter to you. The reason you pay $5 a gallon in gas is because politics matter. Yep. You may not think it does. It actually matters every single fucking day of your life.
100%.
You go to the grocery store, in some cities, you're paying 10.25% sales tax. Think about that shit. You can buy the same thing 2 cities over and save 2%. Sometimes it's not worth it. But if you're buying a $5 or $6 or $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 watch, oh, you'd rather buy it in a city where the sales tax is cheaper. It doesn't work on automobiles because they got to register it at your address. So that doesn't work. But everything else, it fucking matters. You can go to Costco here. You can go to Costco 10 miles down the road. If the sales tax is different, you're going to save money. Those are small things that you don't think matter. At the end of the day, they always matter. Okay? So believe it or not, politics are involved in everything you do. Period. No doubt about it. What else you got for me, CJ?
You saw Senator Padilla and these Democrats nationwide are trying to break into buildings and they're getting arrested. What's your thoughts on that?
Man, Senator Padilla, we go way back because he was a councilman. He was a councilman in Pacoima, and his office was right across the street from our business.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so he would come over. He got into I was young. I was about 18. But him and my dad had a couple spats back and forth. My dad sent him to hell, told him to go fuck himself while Univision was there interviewing him. It was a whole ordeal. So yeah, back then there wasn't social media like that. So I'm talking, 99, 98, right. 90, 98, 99, 97.
You had to be there.
Yeah, you had to be there. You had to be there. And Univision was just pulling up, getting out of the car, introducing himself as a whole spat. So yeah, he's a little bitch. And he proved it to you, running in there like a fucking flaming fairy. Oh my God. First of all, as a senator, any U.S. senator, listen, there's no way you walk in and just start blurting shit out. Like, who's this crackhead who just walked in the middle of a fucking interview and starts in the middle of a press briefing and just starts blurting shit out? What the fuck is wrong with you? You're a sworn United States senator. Right. And you fucking walking in, blurting shit out? Andy Pepe. Like, just saying dumb shit. Shut the fuck up. That's respect right there. And you had zero respect for the woman who was speaking. And you were thrown down and you caused the scene and a whole ordeal. You look stupid. And you look ridiculous. Stephen A., I love Stephen A.'s take on it. He had a little take on it. He also kind of, I agree with him. He basically said it was a stupid thing to do and putting yourself out there. But that's what Democrats do. They look for that. And, they look for that. And then they're the ones who say they don't initiate violence and this and that. We've seen for the last handful of years how they've initiated violence. They've initiated disruption. That's what they do. They want to see disruption. When they see disruption, that's when they come in and they're vultures. They prey on that disruption and they need it. If there's no disruption, they're not successful. They're not doing well. They need disruption. That's what they need. And they saw that they got away with it in the summer of 2020. And I knew it. And I knew it. It was going to happen. And it was going to happen this year. And I fucking knew it. And it's going to happen every fucking summer. And people may think, well, why does it happen in the summer? Because for the most part, kids that are 18, 19, 20 years old are stupid. Okay, they believe all of this shit, that Trump is terrible and this and that. Those are kids who live with their parents. Okay, don't pay rent, don't pay bills, so they don't understand a lot of things. So that they're basically free rolling. So those are the kids that have time to go out there, and you can convince them to go out and protest for what they believe is right. Okay, and they might not even believe it. You see some of these interviews. Oh, well, fuck Trump. This white kid the other day, somebody interviewed him on Instagram. Fuck Trump. Why? Well, I'm just going along with what everybody's saying. Clueless motherfucker who's probably out all day skateboarding, coming home at 8 o'clock at night. Mommy's got dinner, mac and cheese, and chicken nuggets ready for him. And then he goes night-night. It's probably what it is. So, and that's why it's in the summer. Just so you understand. People are on vacation, this, that, they're not going to work, whatever. Plus, all those teachers that are off, we know how liberal they are. They can easily get out there and poison these kids' brains,
Well, you
which they
see,
do.
we didn't know that the head of the teachers union in America, the very top official, was a staffer at the DNC, and she just resigned, and nobody knew it.
Oh, there's so many things that nobody knows, CJ. And then when you start looking at it, shit starts to make sense. Like that's why they give your kids, that's why they feed your kids this bullshit. That's why, and then there's so many people that believe it and they do zero research. Like that's the problem that bothers me the most. Like we can all have different opinions. I agree with Trump on immigration on some things, but a lot of the things on some things on immigration, I don't agree with him on. I don't agree with him on maybe not forcing himself, but kind of coming in as Israel's savior to battle with Iran. I don't agree with him on that. Okay, there's some things that I don't agree with him on. Or I don't align with my party on totally everything. Like for me, abortion is one of those things where if you want to get an abortion, you can get an abortion. That's your fucking problem. I'm not a yes or no person on that. That to me is your own fucking problem. You do whatever the fuck you want. I'm not for abortion after 3 months or whatever. That definitely not for, that's a no for me. Right? So there's certain things that you agree, but there's other people, and it's mostly liberals. They will never agree with Trump on anything. Literally nothing. Not a damn fucking thing. That is the problem that we're having today. Because they will never give him any credit whatsoever. Not a little bit of credit. And I'll tell you something kind of happened to my wife the other day, which shows you how these people was just zero-minded. Zero-minded. My wife's at a graduation party, and there's a picture of the graduate with my son. My son's got a Trump hat on, and ladies behind my wife. By the way, this is at my wife's family members, home, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it, by the way, it's not a distant family member. It is a
close
immediate
relative.
family member. It's an immediate family member. This is part of your immediate family, right? And so this lady makes a comment, and my wife doesn't say anything, and then she makes another comment because that's how liberals are. Like you just can't shut the fuck up. You have to keep going.
Right.
So my wife turns around. She says, "Hey, that's my son. Well, he shouldn't be wearing that hat." First of all, it doesn't matter. It's not your choice, and you should just shut the fuck up because it's just a picture. And so then, he shouldn't have wore that hat. My wife says, "Don't worry about it," and then she kind of keeps going. Well, Americans, my wife turns around and said, "You know what? If you don't want to make America great, that's fine. That's your problem." And she kind of kept going. And she kind of kept going. My wife got her shit. Slideshow's over. My wife got her shit and she leaves.
Good for her.
So she left. And I told the family member the next day, I said this and this happened. And he said, "Oh man, I didn't know, it shouldn't have happened, whatever, blah, blah." And the lady obviously is not gonna apologize, right? And which is fine. But at the end of the day, a hat or a shirt or whatever, just keep to yourself. Just keep your own opinion to yourself. But you're so what's the word that I'm looking for? Where you're so brainwashed with that Trump is so evil that you can't even see what's right in front of you. What rights as a woman have you lost? You've lost none. Were you demoted at work? Were you fired from work? No. But that's the things that you keep putting out there. Did you lose your right to vote? What rights have you lost? But you are so completely brainwashed. The media has the power of the media. The power that the media has was shown in March and April and May, June, July, and August of 2020. They showed you how much power they had, and they're showing you again. Literally showing, at least in LA and New York and every major city in the country. They're showing you again the power that they have because these people are this gullible. These people are this brainwashed that this man is so evil. Bill Maher went into the White House has sit down with Trump, this, that, whatever. He gave a report on Trump, basically of his sort of interview or visit or whatever. And he told you, listen, I don't agree with him on most of the things. I don't agree with, but there are certain things that he's not. And people just kind of wrote off Bill Maher, like started calling him a traitor and this and that. And listen, he had to come up the next week and repeat that he still doesn't agree with a lot of his things. Okay, Stephen A. Smith, a black man who's on ESPN every morning, Monday through Friday, has his own podcast, Friends with Hannity. He's been coming out lately and putting it out there. And now you read some of his comments. Oh, he's a fucking traitor, Uncle Tom, da 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 da. Why? Because they have a different opinion than you? Because they're not brainwashed? Because they've opened their eyes? You need to open your eyes and do just a little bit of research so you can see what's really happening. So, and immigration.
And speaking of your favorite, I would say liberal, Zach Herrera has officially.
What's up, Zach? So, by the way, Zach is a liberal, but not totally a liberal. He's not like Jay. Jay's a little bit more. Zach's more open-minded. Zach's definitely more open-minded for sure. But so, and this is kind of going back to my point about immigration. If Democrats were so worried about it, if mainstream media was so worried about it, why didn't they do anything about it in 2021, 2022, 2023 when they had the opportunities to do it? Right. They had plenty of opportunities to fix it for people, and they didn't. We can go through the DHS numbers if you want. 1.4 million people were removed from this country in 2021. That was Joe Biden's term. We had over 1.4 million people also in 2022 removed. I think it was about 1.1 million in 2023. A lot of those were Title 42, which had to do with COVID. But they were still removed. Where were you guys then? You weren't there. You didn't give a shit. You know why you didn't give a shit? Because the media wasn't telling you to give a shit about it. They weren't showing it to you. That's the problem. If they're not showing it to you, you're not going to see it. And you're not going to do your own research to go and find out about it. You're really not. So there's things that the media is literally, they're convincing these people on. They're brainwashing them, and these people are believing it. Yes, ICE is here. Yes, they're deporting people. Yes, they're at least they're arresting them, and then the whole due process thing comes into play. Did Obama have? You've seen Obama had zero due process.
You're
here illegally, you're gone.
Can I talk about that for a second? Because for people who are like, oh my gosh, they're not getting due process. Do you understand how the due process is going to work? They're going to go to the judge. The judge is going to see that they had a deportation order, that they're here illegally, and they get deported. There's not much process to go around.
That's it. It's just more wasting money because now you need more court dates, more jail time, more meals you got to feed them, more time that the judge needs to be on the clock where you got to bring in all sorts of shit, and it just delays the process. And so, and the other thing is that people that they're not reporting on is that if you self-deport, okay, and the government's already said this, if you self-deport, first of all, you get $1,000 once you self-deport, right? You get $1,000, and you're able to then apply to come back in legally. Now, I did like what Trump did with the farmers. I think he should extend it to construction workers. I think he should definitely extend that. And I talked about it a couple of weeks ago, the immigration thing, how I didn't agree with it on it. But hotels, hotel leisure, the farmers. I think anyone. I think. Well, you can disagree with me, which is why we're here. I agree with it. I agree with that, and I agree with a lot of people that have been here XYZ amount of time. And the reason I think he did that with the farmers, CJ, is because I think you had some people telling them, "Hey, listen, you know what? I'm losing a ton of employees." And you had a lot of people probably tell them from the biggest farms around the country, more than likely, "Hey, listen, if we keep up at this rate, I'm not going to be able to hire enough fucking people that in 6 months we might not have any milk. We might not have XYZ, whatever." But
he restarted it.
What's that?
He restarted it. He just came out with an announcement and said that it's going to continue.
I agree with that. I agree with that. And I told you this before. I agree with people that have been here for XYZ amount of years that have paid their dues. And I know people disagree with me on it, which is fine. It's okay to disagree. And It doesn't mean that I'm a lesser Republican than you are,
Right.
or I'm leaning more towards the left than you. It's not that. It's I understand to an effect that side of it. I understand that part of it. I'm not here defending a guy who came in 3 months ago and is fucking and took in $13,000 off of EBT. I'm not defending those people. I'm defending the guy that's been here for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, has kids here already that are born here, that may be going to school here, that person is contributing to this country.
Mhm.
Whether you want to believe it or not, these immigrants that are working on ITIN numbers, that are working with fake socials, that are getting paid, guess what comes out of their paycheck? Social Security. Guess what they're never getting? That's Social Security that's coming out of their paycheck. So who's keeping that money? That money stays in Social Security. They never get it because they're never going to file for it because they can't get it. So I have an actual employee who's here since 1980, okay? And he has money in Social Security and he cannot get it. So he can never get that money. So who's keeping that money? Stays in Social Security. All these people that are working like that with fake socials or whatever, they're still getting these things deducted from their paycheck. And that's money that they're never going to get. They're never going to get that. So it's not like the government isn't not benefiting, at the end of the day. I'm not saying it's a great fucking thing either. The thing is that we got to this point because of what happened at the border the last 3 years. Okay, that's why we're at this point and nobody wants to fucking admit to it on television. If we come out and we realize and say, hey, there were 3,000 people at every fucking border crossing a day, whatever the number was, okay, and CJ, you'll have the numbers better than me. What we're way down on that. That is the problem. That's why we're at where we're at today, because of what was happening at the border from 2021 to 2024. That was the problem. That's the problem. And nobody wants to admit to it. It's unbelievable. That is, it's simple. It's black and white. That's why we're at where we're at today. Because you let in whatever amount of undocumented people that it was. Whether it was 12 million. And what was it on Biden's first day? Because when people were crossing, Trump was like, okay, you have to wait in Mexico for your court date, right? Well, I think it was Biden's first day or second day. He said, fuck that. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
It was right out the bat, right out the gate that he did that. And you'll know, you can fact check me on it, but it was right away. So now,
yes, this is true.
All these people are waiting inside. They're waiting inside. Where are you mailing them their court dates? What address? You don't have it. That's the issue. And all the money that was given to them. And, there was a Venezuelan Instagrammer, YouTuber, TikToker, whatever the fuck they're called. He was making fun of the United States in those TikToks every single day. He was posting about it and showing his bank account and buying all these things. Guess where that motherfucker's at? He's in Venezuela, deported like a motherfucker, crying for sure. And those were the type of people, and so you were getting a lot of those people, and there was no control of the border for 3 years. Now they're kind of trying to control as much as possible. So what else you got, CJ?
So we did see that, obviously there was some violence wrapping up. There were 2 Minnesota state legislators that were shot. The individual was dressing up as a policeman and knocking on specifically legislators' doors, shot 2 of them. The interesting is although he was appointed by Tim Walz, he is a Republican. What is your message and kind of thoughts about the political violence that's happening?
Yeah, this was mind-boggling to me because he was appointed by Tim Walz on a handful of different projects. I don't know if you saw that. So it was more than one thing. So for them, he came out right away. Tim Walz came out right away and said it was a political act and it's political violence and blah blah. And now all of a sudden the guy's a Republican, right? Well, he was hired by you. And the hate that Tim has for Republicans, why would you ever hire one? You hate them. You literally hate Republicans and everything they stand for. You've said it numerous times. And now you want me to believe this guy that you hired for multiple projects and on multiple occasions, you want me to believe that he's a Republican?
Right.
You want me to believe that the woman that he assassinated was the only woman in the state politician in Minnesota that voted against. So she voted with the Republicans. She voted against immigrants getting health care benefits. The only one, and you want me to believe that a Republican killed her? That's what you want me to believe? See, this is what I'm talking about, CJ. This is just common sense. This is just, there's no back angle. There is no conspiracy theory here. Literally just common fucking sense. You want us to believe that a Republican, supposedly a Republican voter that was hired by a Democrat governor, killed a Democrat elected
State
from
legislator.
Minnesota.
Right.
Okay, so you want me to believe that he killed her when she voted with the Republicans? That's what you want me to believe? He was so upset about that he killed her? A Republican killing a Democrat who voted with Republicans? You want me to believe that?
What sense does that make?
How does that make any sense? There is no conspiracy theory here. We'll leave those for 9/11. There is no conspiracy theory. No conspiracy theory here. It is literally black and white. A man hired by a Democrat governor killed a Democrat woman who voted with Republicans. I don't want to hear that the man was a registered Republican because I don't believe you, because it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. It's like saying Kathy Griffin was a Republican when she held Trump's head up, covered in blood. It doesn't make sense, so I can't believe you. I'm sorry, but I can't believe you. So Tim Walz, whatever story you're trying, and then you come out right away. What did you, 2 hours after the murders, and you come out within 2 hours and you say it's a political act of violence? Dare we say you were in on it?
Right.
Now that's a conspiracy. Now that's a conspiracy. Minnesota governor has a Minnesota state official murdered for voting with Republicans. That's a conspiracy. But for you to want me to believe that the man who murdered her was a Republican, I can't believe it because it doesn't make any sense. The only woman who aligned with a Republican was murdered by another Republican? How does that make any sense? The first thing that actually comes to mind before you say political violence, you can say maybe love triangle. All right. Now we can have some fun with this thing. And death is not fun by any means, and definitely not assassination. When you a state official or any official, elected official or not, it's definitely an assassination. She was murdered. She was assassinated, and her husband was murdered. And another state official was shot as his wife was shot. But this, to me, when you come out and tell me that this and this and this and that, and you lay it out like that, I don't need to do any research for common sense to tell me that you're lying to me. There is no other way around it. You are literally lying to the people and the people of Minnesota. It doesn't make sense. You hired this man. This man has worked for you on multiple occasions. Come on. So that's my take on that, CJ. I don't know what you think. I don't know if you're on my side. I'd love to hear what you think.
I want the investigation to ensue, and I want to figure out motives. They said that there is no manifesto that is tied to this. Like there's every time we have a mass shooting, there's a manifesto that's tied to the shooter. I just think that it's interesting and strange how you have a guy, like you said, that's worked under you that you appointed that shot a Republican for voting with Republicans. Like I just don't
shot a Democrat.
Shot a Democrat that voted with Republicans. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. I am leaning more towards you, where it's like, bro, this is where, we don't make fun of death and all of that good stuff, but this is where we quote unquote, for lack of a better phrase, have fun with it, because you're telling me not to follow with logic, and there has to be logic that goes with this, and logic tells me that this is a conspiracy.
But we stopped using logic in this country here, CJ, on January 20th of 2017. That's when we stopped using logic. We did. And there's a lot of things there's nothing that pisses me off more than when people send you something. Oh, look at what Trump did. And then you send them something about. I had about a guy today on Instagram because he sends me all this shit, and I called him out on it, and then he messaged me privately, like, "Oh, bro, you know." I'm like, dude. He goes, "What's wrong is what they're doing is throwing people on the ground and pregnant women and this and that." Listen, they're only forced by police officers because force has been initiated. I'm sorry for why people in this country believe that they can do things to people who hold authority, and they can just do whatever the fuck they want, and it doesn't work like that. So so common sense has gone out the window, CJ, since Trump was first elected. It really has. And so, and these things that we see that are common sense, at least if you just look at just the groundwork of it, right? The other thing is the latex mask. How did you know it was him? Oh, there was a car. What, did he leave a car behind? He went to commit a murder and he left the car behind? I don't know the entire story, but it sounded like he left the car behind. Or maybe you got him on a Ring camera or whatever. So you're telling me that a guy went to commit a murder and figured out a way to get a latex mask, because when you see him on the Ring camera there, the house that he knocks on the door or whatever, it is a mask. It was clearly so he went through the trouble of getting a mask, but he didn't go through the trouble of changing his license plate, pulling the license plate off, renting a car under a bogus name. Like, you had his name right away. You had his name real quick. And he definitely didn't leave his car behind. He didn't leave on foot. I think you had a 24 or 48-hour manhunt. You didn't catch him right away. If a guy leaves on foot after committing a murder and he leaves his car behind, kind of stupid. Why get a latex mask at that point, right? Why disguise yourself if you're leaving the car behind? I mean, the common sense goes out the window. And I know it's Minnesota. There's not a lot of common sense there. We've seen the girl they're allowing to play softball there and winning state titles. I mean, who's a boy who's playing as a girl. So not a lot of common sense in Minnesota. But they obviously believe that we're as stupid as they are, right? And so, I mean, that story for me is just I don't whatever comes of it. I stand to believe what common sense looks like in that case, and that's what it is. I'm not going to be able to believe a Republican killed this woman for siding with them.
Yeah,
I just can't believe it. So
it doesn't make any sense.
Just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. So politically, we've covered Iran.
Yeah.
We've covered immigration. We've covered Minnesota. What else are we covering here today?
I want your personal take. Yeah, I do. I want your personal take on our current governor race, right? We have Steve Hilton, who's been here for 10 years roughly. He's British, has the accent, works for Fox. And we have Chad Bianco, who's been here for his entire life, has been the sheriff of Riverside County. Where do you stand on who more you lean towards, who more have you liked? What's your stance on that race?
It's a waste of time. I'll be honest with you. It's a waste of time. It's California. It's California. It's a waste of time. It was a waste of time for Steve Garvey. You know what? At the end of the day, these guys are going to run. They're going to get some donations, whatever. You keep that money when the race is over. You're not going to make a real splash, okay? And you won't be down to the final two. It'll be two Democrats, maybe Villanueva and Kamala. If Kamala runs, these guys are done. Every single Democrat on there, every single Republican is done. Everybody wants to give Kamala some sort of fucking job. Listen, which is stupid, but because we've seen how dumb she actually is. And if we think we're in bad shape now in California, imagine when that woman is the governor. We're going to be even worse, right?
I'm not joking.
Yeah, but she'll win. She'll win if she runs. And to be honest with you, CJ, there's not one Republican that can compete against a Democrat in this state. And it doesn't matter what Democrat. It doesn't matter which one. And look, if Alex Padilla wanted to run right now, he'd probably win on the bullshit he pulled last week, right? Playing the victim card. And minorities are great at playing the victim card. We know that. Black, Mexican, all of them. So it's true. They're the best victims on the planet. As to be honest with you, Jews a little bit on the victim side. I'm throwing it out there. Jews as well on the victim card. They're holding on to this Holocaust thing forever. Get over it. You know what I'm saying? Listen, the Holocaust has been done with. Nobody's alive from it. And maybe one motherfucker, who knows? But and the
People are
reason
definitely still alive from the Holocaust.
there's maybe 6. Find me their numbers. Zach says no way she wins. Don't know a person who likes her besides Jay. Dude, Zach, there is a lot of people. I listen to a lot of news on. I listen to a lot of radio with the Republican radio, and they've come out and literally said it like, if Kamala runs, it doesn't matter who's running, Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter. Like she will sweep and run the floor with everyone because people like her. I'm sorry, but people like her. She's convinced people that she's black. She's convinced people that she's somehow a woman. I mean, no, she's a woman, definitely a woman. But she's convinced people that she's black, and she's convinced people that she knows shit. Although they say that 250 million Americans died at one point. I mean, but we'll forget about that. We never.
She
forget
also said that we were never in an active duty military zone. We actively had people in that.
Exactly. So I mean, listen, her blunders, like I said earlier, Democrats' blunders, they don't matter because we just sweep them under the rug. We toss them over the shoulder. We throw them away. It doesn't matter. For them, it doesn't matter. So I think if she runs, I think she's a lock. She'd probably get 67% of the vote. Wouldn't even be close.
Would you move?
What's that?
Are you gonna move?
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm already trying to move, CJ. So I would love to be able to move, but like I told you, the story I told you about my wife, what happened to her the other day. That's just the beginning. That's just the beginning. And what a lot of people haven't realized, CJ, and I think you need to kind of take a look and sit down and kind of analyze. And when you're in cities like LA and states like California, maybe New York City, stuff like that, when you got to sit there and look at it, we're just 6 months into this term. We have another 3.5 years of this shit to put up with. Okay, so you have to remember that. So last time it got really bad when COVID started, right? Because you had the George Floyd thing and all that. And then it started to get real ugly, right? Like, oh, you're not vaccinated, put on a mask. You can't come over if you're not vaccinated. My wife's family threw a party and they literally put in the invitation, if you're not vaccinated, you cannot come, which was the stupidest thing. Like literally, that's what happened. Okay. So obviously, I didn't show up. And by the way, the people who were throwing this party were partying it up March, April, May, June, July, August, all the way until September of 2020, and something triggered them. Who knows what it was? But anyways, that's family, and you got to put up with them. But that was the stupid shit that was going on. That was at the end of Trump's term. We're at the beginning of Trump's term, and look what we're putting up with so far. Okay, look what we've had to go through the last 2 weeks. Dude, we had an 8 p.m. curfew in downtown LA. And then they're trying to sit here, the Philharmonic, oh, no, we're not having a show. And we stand with this and that. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. That shit is not right. That shit was not right. Businesses and people should not be losing out on money for these people that are out there protesting. So it's ridiculous. And so when you look at it and sit here and say, fuck, we're only 6 months in to a 4-year term, we're in trouble. Yeah. We're in trouble. We're in trouble as we're going to be even more divided, CJ, in the next 3.5 years, because that's all you're watching every night is division. Nobody wants to sit there and use their own and do their own research. Nobody wants to use common sense for a lot of these issues. So,
Zach,
yes, we will. Not every night, but we will. We're gonna have. I promise you, we're gonna have a march. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad. It's to me. I'll be honest with you. I think it gets worse before it gets better. Okay, and this Iran thing has a lot to do with a lot of things. If Trump makes a move or he doesn't make a move, hopefully he doesn't make a move. We talked about it earlier, CJ and I, and a lot of people, a lot of influencers that I follow that voted for Trump and have been to the White House and stuff like that. They're totally against this as well. But all these moves, this is all these world issues that have been brought in Here, the Palestine and Israel thing. Now you'll see a week or two we'll have Iran, free Iran or whatever. It'll happen. It'll happen, and the issues will just keep the media will keep creating issues against Donald Trump to cause ruckus, to cause disruption. Democrats operate off of disruption. We saw in the first term Maxine Waters calling for violence against Supreme Court justice. Okay? Yes. Calling for violence. Oh, if Trump I was here, Madonna, Robert De Niro, Mark Ruffalo. These people are famous actors. What do you give a fuck about? Move to an island. George Clooney, who moved to an island and still has a fucking opinion here. All of these people, they caused violence. They pushed violence. God forbid a Republican comes out and says that. But you don't see it. You don't see Clint Eastwood on TV doing these things. You don't see a lot John Voight. You don't see a lot of these guys coming out and speaking up about it. You see very little. James Woods, another one. You see it, but we don't see it on national television like we do with Mark Ruffalo, the Hulk, who should be called the bitch.
He pisses me off, bro.
He should be called the bitch, okay? Not the Hulk, okay? You see the other idiot, Robert De Niro. You see it.
Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. They're the ones who are causing disruption. They are pushing disruption. So we're going to see it for the next 3.5 years, little by little by little. We'll see. This weekend, they removed the curfew today. Communist Mayor Karen Bass removed the curfew finally for downtown, so people can go now and enjoy that area. They've moved the homeless out some years ago, so you can go and enjoy that area again. Maybe get robbed or something, whatever. That's LA for you. But they need to cause disruption, and they will continue. They will find another issue. They always find issues to push. Always. You see it. We've literally seen it. Remember the Women's March? There were guys with pussy hats on, vagina hats on. I knew someone whose son went to this thing. He had a vagina hat on with a sign that said, "I'm a feminist." You're a fucking moron, is what you are. And your mom makes more than your dad. Your whole family's already a feminist. Go ahead. Can you imagine? So we had that, right? That was in 2017, I believe, or 2018. Then you had the Black Lives Matter movement kind of start, and then you had the George Floyd. Now we have the anti-ICE protests. So it's coming, Zach. We had the Palestine, free Palestine shit going on for the last year. Okay, you're gonna see it. We'll see something else that'll come in and scoop it up, and the Democrats will feed, and AOC will feed off of it, and that's how it's gonna work. They need disruption. They need it. I didn't see the Dodgers getting backlash for not commenting on ICE. I didn't see that. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you saw it, CJ. Did you see the girl who performed the national anthem in Spanish?
Oh, she can kiss my ass.
So she performed it in Spanish after they asked her not to. And now, listen, it was, and she brought up something. I don't know. Don't quote me on it because I'm not totally right. 1954, I believe it was, where it was written in Spanish. It was translated to Spanish as well, or blah blah. I don't have a problem with it. What I have a problem with is they asked you not to do it. That is the thing. And they asked you not to do it, and you still did it. And by the way, Zach, what I think they did is, and don't quote me on this. I could be just fucking throwing shit at the wall and seeing if it sticks. But the Dodgers maybe not commenting on ICE because they kind of concentrated their weekend a little bit on the Pride community. So
my gosh,
they wore the Pride hats this weekend.
Yeah.
They wore the Pride hats this weekend. We saw what they did last year with the nuns of fuckery or whatever the fuck they were called.
You see the Mets though, right?
Yeah. So and by the way, we've seen Democrats for a handful of years now kind of push towards the LGBT plus QI triple division community and all that. So that's they believe that's a stronger issue than immigration, obviously. And so the Dodger fan, listen, Zach, we talked about it earlier. Dodger fans don't give a fuck if they mentioned ICE or not. They're playing literally on a stadium that was built where immigrants were literally kicked out of there. Mexican immigrants were kicked out of there so they can build that stadium. So Dodger fans don't give a fuck. All they care about is their Dodgers. They don't give a shit about that when they go to the stadium. They don't care if they were acknowledged or not, because they're literally playing where their families, their ancestors that they speak about when they're posting all of these immigration posts, they were removed from there, and they haven't said shit, and they've never said anything against the Dodgers. So the Dodgers can do no wrong to the Mexican American community at all. Literally nothing. So that's why they didn't comment on it, and they don't give a shit about it. I'll be honest. That's my honest opinion on that. So, but other than that, CJ, I don't know if you have anything else you want to cover. You want to cover anything sports wise? I think we got all the politics kind of out of the way. Just to recap, we don't agree with Trump on Iran. We definitely don't. We don't agree. I don't agree with certain things about immigration. We've already covered that before. We think Tim Walz is lying 100%. He's fucking lying. Like, I'm not going to believe him ever on this story. Ever. On this story, like, there's just no way of convincing me that of the story he's giving us. But other than that, we'll cover sports talk tomorrow on the Two Nobodies podcast. If you want to tune in, I think we'll be on at either 4:30 p.m. Pacific time or 6 p.m. Pacific time. We'll put out a post and let everyone know. We'll cover the NBA Finals. We'll cover. Oh, by the way, since we're real quick, how good is fucking Caitlin Clark, man?
Oh, come on now.
Come on. And I don't know if Zach's still on there and he saw it. 25 in the first half, an absolute show she put on. And I believe the Liberty might have been undefeated. They might have been 9-1 already. She put on an absolute show in that first half. Put up 25. I mean, phenomenal. By the way, did you see the attendance in the week? Well, did you see in the week that she missed? It was down 50%.
Yeah,
down 50%. What happened, Angel Reese? I thought they watched because of you too. Bitch, you dripping. Come on. Ain't nobody watching your shit. You know this. Come on. Come on, Angel.
You got Skip Bayless even talking about her and saying the fact that nobody comes to a basketball game to see rebounds.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. She did have a triple-double, and I love how ESPN worded it. Second youngest to have a triple-double in WNBA. If you read the article, you know who first was. CC, boy. CC was the first. Like, could you imagine? Zach's laughing his ass off at the WNBA talk, as we all should. If you've ever watched the game, it's a very laughable. Very laughable.
I'm just really glad I brought the sport to the group that one day in the backyard. I just forced y'all to watch it, and I just lit a spark.
Because Caitlin is that good. That's the only reason I watch college basketball, was because of Caitlin Clark. I guarantee you there's more people like me than there are of people who just watch the thing.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
I mean, it just proved it to you this last week. Viewership down 50% this week. It's just common sense. And I love watching going through Instagram and seeing the post of how how the league doesn't make any money, and I love how people just keep reminding them that your product isn't good enough for you to ask for a pay raise. And you know what? I want to say this. It's early. It's premature. But I want to say that these ladies might hold out next year. Like, actually believe it. I'm going to put it out there right now. And their season, I really believe it. Yeah, we'll talk about that right now, Zach. You're actually right. But I'm saying this right now. I really believe that these ladies believe in their hearts that they're worth more than what they're making right now. And I believe that they will strike next year. Do you have any take on that, CJ?
Oh, I couldn't. It would be the most embarrassing thing. because you going on a sports team going on strike like they're Amazon workers. I just think it's funny. It's just a funny scene to me. I don't have a take on that. I haven't heard of that. This is the first time
No, I
I'm
haven't.
hearing about. Oh,
I'm
you
putting it
just
out
this
there
is a
right
take.
now.
I like it. I
I'm
like it.
I'm giving you the first real take right here. This is the first real
I like
take.
it. Original.
But I'm telling
Stephen
you,
A's gonna say it tomorrow.
no, you better post it. But no, but I'm telling you, I kind of see, because when you start going through social media and seeing what some of these women are saying, and then they go on these other women's podcasts and they're actually believing it and they're feeding it to them. Like, oh, you guys are right. You know, what does LeBron do that you don't do? I don't know. I actually play basketball. So like, and they're believing it and then feeding themselves into it. And I'll tell you something. Like, I believe Minnesota's like 9-1, 10-1, 9-2, something like that. And then New York's like 9-1, 9-2, whatever. And then the Aces, we know how good they've been or whatever the last couple of years. And then you have Caitlin Clark's team, and then the Sparks, and the Sparks got all the hot chicks and all that. So imagine if you get a finals where people actually watch, because you may get Caitlin Clark against Minnesota or Caitlin Clark against the Aces, or even the New York, Minnesota, New York, Vegas matchup again, and people would actually watch. And I'm not talking about a huge number, but let's say you broke. Listen, if Caitlin got to the finals, I mean, they would shatter their numbers by 5x, right? I can see it. I can see them holding out next year for actual money,
Wow.
them believing it. And probably at the end of the year, they will probably not have turned a profit anyways, but I can see them holding out because I believe that these women are that delusional. I really believe it. And other women are starting to tell them on these podcasts, like, yeah, you guys are right. And this and that. But actually everyday women that may agree with them don't even watch it. Like, they don't. So I'm just telling you the truth. By the way, Zach says the internet was all over Grindr saying the fucking white girl thing. She's denying it. Like, listen, Brittany or Britton or whatever his name is, or her name, or we've heard Brittany Griner talk. And if you still want to, if people still believe that she was a woman at any point, I can't believe it. That's kind of a Tim Waltz story. But she's now denying that she said it. Like, we read your lips. We read your lips. And like I said, and I've said this before, and I didn't say it about this, but fucking white girl has always just been a thing. Like, if you played basketball or you played, basically it was just basketball. If you played basketball on the street, at a park, etc., and you had a white dude that can play, you always said, fucking white boy can play. Yep. So the fucking world thing doesn't bother me. It's just that people, you can't say fucking black girl.
Right. That's my irritation with it, is if you have the audacity to say
you can't say it.
Right.
You can't say it. So that's why, it's kind of an issue. But I listen, I played, I don't need to fucking go over it. So I understand the take. I hung out with black dudes. I hung out with black dudes in high school, and we had one white friend, and it was always a fucking white boys here. Oh, here comes a fucking white boy. It was always that. So for me, at least my age group, my culture, I don't find that as an issue. For me, anyways. But for you, denying that you said it is pretty stupid. And the reason that it's kind of an issue, it should be looked at as an issue, is because you guys are that sport, those fucking women are fucking just super racist. Like, you heard fucking Aja Wilson talking about the privilege that Paige had last year at UConn. Like, she understands her white privilege. No, the bitch can play basketball. Right. She's really fucking good. It doesn't matter. Oh, she got here because of her privilege. No, she got here because she was a badass basketball player. You got there because of your privilege, Aja. You got there because your parents took you to fucking private school. You got there because you're fucking 6, whatever the fuck you are, tall. That's why you got there. This woman can actually play the fucking game. No doubt. Aja's the best women's player in the league, and overall player all around, maybe. Right? And Caitlin is right there. But Paige can play the game. She didn't get there because of her white privilege. Rebecca Lobo didn't get there because of her light skin privilege. Right. That's not why they got there. Diana Taurasi didn't get there because of her privilege. They got there because they can play the fucking game. And it's actually, it should bother some of these women like Rebecca Lobo, like Diana Taurasi, like Sue Bird, like Sabrina the Kobe, because I can't pronounce her last name. No disrespect. I just can't pronounce it. And I might not know it. So, but Sabrina the Kobe, Like, it should bother those women that was
Yeah.
said. That comment was made, and Kelsey Plum was there. It should bother her as well. That's why this has kind of become an issue for some people of her saying fucking white girl. Because we've seen this type of racism in the league already.
Yes.
We saw it in the NBA with, I think it was Marcus or Markieff Morris, when Luka in the bubble hits a 3 against the Clippers and he goes, oh, fucking white boy, da-da-da-da. Like, we saw that. And like I said, when you're on the court and there's a white dude who can play, it was always fucking white boy. It just always was, which is fine. But in a league that there's so much racism, whether you want to believe it or not, and the league's best player in Asia Wilson, what was it, a year ago or maybe 2, is seen and recorded speaking about a remarkable college basketball player, a remarkable player, right. Not some random, a fucking actual superstar, generational college talent. And speaking about her white privilege got her to UConn, it has to be said. And it should be upsetting for a lot of these women that wasn't addressed. It really was. And it you know, it's brutal that it wasn't addressed. And this is not the last that we're going to get of this fucking white girl. And it's not the last of it. There is no doubt about it. So we haven't heard the end of that, whether it's with Griner, whether it's with other women, because they feel now, and I want to say, this is my opinion only, but I think that these women are starting to feel the pressure, and they need to come to terms that Caitlin Clark is the draw. She's the draw of the league, and she's white. So now the racist comments might pick up a little bit. They might pick up a little bit because the draw, the only real draw that you have, realistically, at least for a guy like me to watch the shit, has to be that I'm watching Caitlin Clark. If not, I'm not watching. And even then, I struggle to watch. So that's my take on that. And that is another episode of Yapping. Thank you for chiming in, Zach and Luke. Appreciate it. Check us out tomorrow night, Two Nobodies Podcast, live on YouTube. Subscribe. Tell your friends about it. I'm not a racist. The producer's black. Just a little bit. We're out.